For my negotiated practice assignment, I decided to do a photo book on the companions of Lichfield, which is my hometown. Frieden is an award-winning dog photographer who captures the relationships between dogs and their owners. His technique when photographing a bond is authenticity and honesty. He likes to show a story behind his photographs, and this is how he captures the special bonds that walk into his studio. Frieden says he studies the deeply healing power of the human and animal bond. He shows companionship and love through a contemporary story. He has work exhibited all over the country, and his work has also been published in Vogue, the Huffington Post, Yahoo, and many more. One of his most common published work is a project called Finding Shelter. Finding Shelter was published in 2010. It's a collection of portraits of volunteers who love and heal. He's shown the relationship between the volunteers and dogs, educating people on how strong a bond can be. Furthermore, how much passion humans have for dogs and dogs have for humans. He has tried to show the unbreakable bonds that have been formed between the dogs in the shelter and the volunteers. As you can see, he takes pictures of the dogs alone and of the dogs with the volunteers. This shows you the subject, which in this case is the dogs in the shelter, and then he shows you the bonds that have been built in the shelter. All of the work he has done for this project is done in a studio. So he would have used a studio setup with lighting that he has set up and backdrops. A lot of the work that Frieden has done is posed. These are more of the pictures where they're looking directly at the camera. The other images, for instance this one here with the girl and the dog, looks like they have been playing. You can really see that he's really captured the bond between the two, and this reflects in his work. All of his images in this collection are black and white. He has not said why, however, black and white adds a timeless feel to images. Therefore, I reckon he has done this to highlight the memory and make it a timeless moment. The work he does has a bigger meaning behind it, other than just being about the dog and the owner. There's a message behind the work he does, and the fact he has compassion for it makes it much easier to view, as you can tell his subjects are comfortable around him. My goal is to try and get that connection between the owners and their dogs, just like Frieden. However, I want to focus it on the current situation of the pandemic in the world. I'm going to document the bond and connection between dogs and their owners, but just the elderly. This is because they have had to isolate more than the younger generations, and there's been a lot of lonely people due to living alone or losing partners. I want to see and hear how their dogs got them through lockdown. I also want to show the dogs themselves and their characteristics. I decided I wanted it to be a bit more personal, so I photographed it in my hometown Lichfield. To add more story to it, I photographed it in colour so I could bring out every detail in the photograph. For example, the weather, whether the elderly person took the dog for a walk in the rain, just to show more of a bond. Here are some photos I took for this project. I realised that the angles were important, and it was important to be down roughly towards the dog's eye level. This would be the same as if I was photographing humans. This is one of the ladies I met whilst getting photographs for the book. I love the composition in this photograph. I love how she's sat up and the dog is on the floor. You can tell they are both relaxed and they've got that special bond. This is exactly what I wanted for my book. I love the fact that I've done it in colour, as the colour brings out more of their personalities individually. I love the fact that I have photographed all my pictures in colour, as it brings out the personalities of the dog and the owners. The majority of the dogs I photographed are facing the camera. However, I love this photo because it really does show the bond between the dog and the owners. It shows the amount of trust the dog has in the owners as well. Again, having colour in the photograph really brings out the personalities of the owners and the dog. I love the composition of this image, and I love the fact that I did it landscape. The picture has a story behind it, as you can clearly see.
I'm sharing this video because I want to help others who are interested in printing their own books that feel high-end and look professional. Every person that has seen the book in person really loves it and asks questions about where I got it printed. So, this video was born. I was inspired to print this book because as a professional photographer and a lover of tangible art, I wanted something of my own to hold. I have a strong belief that digital files need more than just to be seen on a screen. I travel a decent amount and have hundreds of thousands.
When designing my book, I want to take the sleek, minimalistic approach. I want my work to be laid similar to this photo book. I will have my images in the middle of the page with space around them, with the quote on the page next to it. I want it all to be aligned for it all to have a natural flow when flicking through. I also want to add an accent on the page in the colour of my personal work logo. This is so I can add something personal to me on it that makes it unique to the viewers. I also want the images to be the same size when it's portrait and when it's landscape. This is so it's all aligned together. I don't want my photo book to be difficult to understand. I want the pictures there and the quotes next to them so it's easy to just flick through the pages. I don't want too much context in the captions, as I feel like the picture should speak for itself. This is one of the pages from my finished photo book. I love the fact that I had the landmark of Stowpool in the back for this one, as because if people from Lichfield were to view the book, they would know exactly where that was, and it makes it unique. I wanted all of the focus of the image to be on the owner and the dog. The way that owner is naturally just looking at the dog just shows the connection they have. Once taken the photograph, I then went on to ask them about their dog and their connection with the dog, and from there I took quotes from what they said and added it on the right hand side of the page. Just like I wanted, I did all the landscape pictures and the portrait pictures at the same size. I left space around the images too, so it was minimalistic and it was clean and it was very easy just to flick through and understand what was happening. I added the blue accent at the bottom of the page as it wasn't in the way and it just aligns very nice. Just like I wanted, it was the colour of my logo, so when people from Lichfield read the book, it instantly pops up as the colour of my logo and there's a connection there with me and the book. I love the way that my photo book has turned out. I feel like it's personal for the community of Lichfield, it's personal to me, and I feel like a lot of people can connect to this book, and it's something that people will look back on in time and be happy. Overall, I love the way that my photo book has come out. I feel like it's personal to me as I've added a bit of my work to this. I think it's personal to the community of Lichfield as it tells you a story about what people went through during a pandemic. I love the composition of the photographs. I feel like I got that spot on and there was no distractions in the backgrounds of the images. I'm happy that I kept the photo book minimalistic and neat. I feel it makes it look professional and it's easy to read and view as it just flows well together. I believe I captured the bond between dogs and the owners just like Jesse Frieden's work, and that was the whole aim of this project. I had a lot of fun doing this, and I feel like telling a story through a photograph is very powerful and something that I want to continue to do.